My name is Michael, and today we'll be taking a look at the People tab in Poco 3.1, the FileMaker database from ThinkCrew. The People tab is the area where you're going to enter all of your information about everyone who's involved with your movie. That's cast, crew, studio personnel, anyone else who's going to be involved with your show. And we have a lot to cover here, so let me jump right in and show you how to start entering data on those people. When you create a new record in the People tab, this is what the page is going to look like. It's a number of empty fields, and we're going to step through each one of these one by one so that you understand them. The first field you're going to see is the order field. And actually, I'm going to skip back to that in a couple seconds because I want to show you how it relates to the department field when we get to that. So you would start by entering the person's name. First name, middle name, last name. And then you're going to select who he is a member of. In this example, he's a member of the crew, but you could also have him be a member of the cast, a studio person, an other person who doesn't fit into those categories, or you can also edit this list and add your own items to it. All of the lists in Poco are editable. If you click right here and click on edit, you'll see that you can actually edit the contents of that list, but we're fine for now with crew. You can then select what department this individual is in. And in our case, the director is an above the line person, so we're going to select above the line. But you can also select on this list from the various departments that exist on most films. And again, you can edit the list should you feel you need to. Now I want to pause here and actually show you how the department field and the order field work together to create a crew list. This department list is seen right here, the above the line, production, assistant directors, accounting, and the list goes on, is the order in which Poco is going to create the crew list in. It's going to list the above the line people first, then production people, like coordinators or assistant coordinators, then assistant directors, then accounting. That's the order in which the categories are going to appear in this particular crew list. The order number is the order in which this individual person is going to appear in that particular category. The order numbers are automatically generated every time you create a new record. The first record that's created when you first launch Poco will be number 10. The second one will be 20, next one 30, and so on. The reason that there's so much space in between is that once you've entered everyone, you may find that you need to add a person in between two other people. And we wanted to allow you enough space to, for instance, if you had a person to go between person 10 and person 20, add a 15 that could slide right down the middle. So let me show you how this actually works in a practical way by taking you here to the order list, where we can actually see the different people and the order which they appear. Now on this list you can see our James Stevenson, our person in our example. He doesn't actually have a position yet because we've yet to enter it. But everyone else on this list is appearing here as they will appear on the crew list. So for instance, if I wanted the producer to be the first person listed on the crew list, I could change his order number to 5. And you can see that Poco has automatically put the producer higher than James Stevenson here because he is ordered first. Let me show you how this looks on the crew list. Let me click on the crew list button. We'll click on preview so we can see the whole crew list. And there is our producer. Then here's the example person that we're entering, followed by writer, executive producer, so on. But keep in mind that even if I set this producer's order number to, let's say, 500, that he could only ever appear last in the category which he belongs. And in this case, that's above the line. If you ever feel like you're confused about this, just remember that the person's department is always going to supersede the order in which they are listed. All grips are always together, all camera people are always together, all makeup people are always together. The order just sets which order they're going to appear within that category. And now let's continue entering data. We're going to use the position field to select that he is the director. Once again, you can select from all of the different positions on the show and edit the list if you need to. Then we're going to enter the person's address, and then city, state, zip. Poco allows you to enter up to 6 different phone numbers for each individual, and these will appear on the various lists, crew list, cast list, studio list, what have you. So if you have numbers that you don't want on those lists, but you'd like to record in Poco, a good place to do that would be the notes field. The notes field doesn't appear on any of the various lists, and it allows you to enter information that you need to see when you look at the record, but may be private and not appropriate for everyone else to see. So let's enter some phone numbers. And notice that I'm abbreviating the identifiers for these different phone numbers. H for home, M for mobile. Obviously you can type whatever you'd like. If you like to type the entire word home or the entire word mobile or cell or whatever you like to use, you're free to type in whatever you'd like. If you don't have 6 whole phone numbers to put in here, as I'm sure you won't for most people, you can just leave these fields blank. Over here you can enter up to 3 different email addresses for this person. And notice the little radio buttons here over on the right-hand side. These will select which of these email addresses is the primary email address for this person, so that when Poco tries to email this person in the future, it knows which email to default to for this person. And in this case, we're going to leave it as the first email address, james@u.com. You can then enter the date of birth for the individual, and you can either just type in the date or use the pull-down calendar by selecting the button here on the right and actually select a date. And you can enter start dates and end dates for this individual, should you need to, in the exact same manner. The size field is for crew gifts, hats, t-shirts, jackets, and you can select from a pull-down list here of the various common sizes for each one of these items, and of course edit the list should you need to. You can also enter in a picture for this individual, and this can be used for crew badges or just generally identifying who this person is. To do so, you just click Insert Picture, select a picture that you already have in your hard drive, and there you go. An important note here is to keep in mind, though, that these pictures are not being compressed when you're importing them into FileMaker. So for instance, if the size of the picture that you're importing is 3 megabytes, then after you've imported that picture, the size of your Poco file just got 3 megabytes bigger. So keep in mind when you're importing that you may want to reduce the file size of these images before you bring them in, particularly if you're going to be using a lot of pictures in Poco. It can be the case that when Poco's file size gets very large, that the database itself can slow down. So it's an important thing to keep in mind. The next area is the distribution list for this person. And this is a really powerful area of Poco. So I want to spend some time really concentrating on this. The basic functionality is simple enough. You just select the items that that individual will need to receive on the show. So this person, the director, will want to receive a crew list, a cast list, doesn't need a vendor list, but would like script revisions, and a shooting schedule, and day out of days. So now anytime you distribute something, you know what each person on the show is supposed to get. But it gets much, much better than that, because Poco can actually use this information and do its own distribution for you. And there's 2 ways that this works. The first way is that you can actually print mailing labels for every single person who, for instance, has the crew list checkbox checked in this example. So let's click on Labels right here. And these are mailing labels for every single person who is supposed to receive a crew list. And you could print these out, stick these crew labels on a physical copy of the crew list, and pass them out on set. But another way that Poco can actually distribute this is to do it via email. Poco can actually create emails and send them out for every person who is supposed to, in our example here, receive a crew list. So we click on the email button, and Poco is actually going to do something even more impressive because it knows that the crew list is something that it can actually distribute, unlike, for instance, let's say, script pages, which are not included in Poco. So when we clicked on the Email Crew List button, it asks us, would we like to attach a PDF of this crew list to the email that we're going to create? And I'm going to say yes. Poco then creates an email addressed to every person who is supposed to receive a crew list and attaches a PDF of that document to the email. It sets the subject to the name of the show and crew list, which is the name of the document that we're distributing. And all we need to do is hit send, and we will have distributed this document to everyone who's supposed to get it. And you can edit the items on this list as well. So if, for instance, you don't want to distribute a one-liner on your show, just click Edit and it will take you to the Setup tab, and you can edit the items on this list. The next list we're going to take a look at is the User Defines Fields list. When we first created Poco, we knew that we wouldn't be able to imagine every single field that you might need on the show. Production is a dynamic environment, and so what we did is we gave you 4 text fields here that you can use in any way that you want them. You can use them to track who is local or distant hires, or some users have actually repurposed the fields in different layouts that they've created for themselves. And if you want to edit the labels for these fields, just click on the Edit button and it will take you to Setup, and you can edit the names as you see fit. Now over here on the left, you're going to notice that there's a number of different sub-tabs in the People tab. There's Flight Info, Cast Info, Deal Info, Personal Info, and Additional Info. And I'm going to step you through each one of these so you understand exactly what they are. In the Flight Info tab, there's actually only 2 fields of data entry here. You can set the class of travel for this particular individual. I'm going to set it for first. And then you can add frequent flyer numbers if that person has some. But the real power in the Flight Info tab is that it actually gives you insight into what is in the Flights tab. If, for instance, we created a flight for this person by clicking on this button right here, we would then be able to, after the flight is created, see information about those flights right here in this flights window. We're going to cover more about that when we talk about the Flights tab in a future video, or if you just want to play with it, go ahead and just create a new flight and watch how it works. It's pretty easy. The Cast Info tab is obviously for cast members. Now, the person that I'm entering here is a director, so all of these fields are currently grayed out because the Member Of field is selected to Crew. But if I selected Cast, notice that all of these fields become alive and now you can enter data into them. And I'm going to reset him back to Crew. But to show you more about how this works, let me switch over to a person who's in the cast so you can see what these fields look like. There's a field for character name, and if you are a person who entered in the character name as the position on the movie up here, you can click on this little arrow right here, and it will actually copy the position field into the character field, which will save you a little bit of typing. The dates here are much the same as they were on the date of birth and start date and end date. Just click on the little calendars and you can enter in any date you need to. The fields here are start date or on or about, pickup date or on or about, pick up as, which is a pull down for daily or weekly, and next show starts with a date. Those are all SAG designations that are used in the SAG contracts, which you can also produce with Poco. As is the allow deduction and percentage fields, which for the most part I think you'll find does not and 0 are the correct entries. Radio buttons for whether or not this person is a minor or not, we're going to say no. Fields to enter in all of his agent information, manager information, does that person have an assistant and perhaps contact information. And then the guarantee billing and dressing room column is a catch-all for all of the different deal information which you may want to include on your cast list. Here in this example, we've included a complete detail of his guarantee, his billing, and dressing room. And of course, if this person was a minor, here's a field to enter the contact information for that minor individual. The next tab is Deal Info, and for here I'm going to switch back to our director example. And this tab covers the basic deal information for each individual on your show. It generally doesn't apply to cast, as their information is on the cast list and their contracts are SAG contracts, and all of that information was covered in the previous tab. The first field here is name and credits, and much like the character field, there's an arrow here that when clicked will actually paste in that person's name into this field. A social security field, a loan out field if this person has a loan out corporation, federal ID number if you need that, union affiliation, state residency, radio buttons for whether or not this person is a US resident. And then over here on the right, you can actually set the specific deal information for this person, whether or not they are a daily or weekly hire. And based on that answer, you can fill in an actual rate, a guarantee, if they get a guarantee, and a dollar amount for that guarantee, if that's different. And of course, at the bottom, you can enter in kit rental, car allowance, or any other information you'd like to appear on the deal memo. The next tab is the Personal Information tab. And this tab can be really helpful if you want to track even more information about this person. So for instance, does this person have any allergies, any dietary restrictions, the mailing address, if of course he has a mailing address that's different from the one above, and emergency contact information, including the contact person, their relationship, and phone number. And the last tab here is the Additional Info tab. And this tab actually has two different purposes. One is to allow you extra room to type in information that may appear below the regular information in the crew list. So for instance, if you find that you have an individual who likes to have information below them on the crew list, for instance, they have an assistant, you can enter that information right here and it will appear beneath that person's listing in the crew list. This can also work for some vendors that you may have in your crew list, for instance, caterers, casting directors, legal representation, or any other miscellaneous entities which may want more information printed beneath them. The last field here is the Additional Emails field. Remember when we distributed the crew list via email from the distribution list? Some people have additional people they would like copied on those emails, for instance, agents or managers or assistants. And this would be a place where you could enter in email addresses for those people, and any time that, for instance, this individual gets an email that Poco generated, then these additional people will also be copied on the message. And if you have more than one email address, just separate them with a comma. And that about covers it all for the People tab. Thanks so much for watching this video. And if you have any other questions about the People tab or Poco in general, come find us on Facebook. We have a discussion area there, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much, and enjoy using Poco.